Hello, I'm Bernard Keavy. I'm going to explain to you this afternoon that there are 7 fundamentals to understand about human behaviour. And if you do understand them, then that will underpin all of your marketing, promotion or sales efforts. And then if you follow a simple 4-step formula, that will enable you to get your message across most effectively and maximise your results. And all of that is called strategic marketing, and all of it can be summarised on one page, which is what I'll endeavour to do. So these 7 fundamentals of human behaviour. The first one is people always want the best deal. Now, what do we mean by that? Well, what we mean by that is that if there's nothing to distinguish you from the competition, then people will shop on price. But if there are things to distinguish you from your competitors, then people will look for more value and they will look for the best deal. And actually, this becomes really important because the more significant the purchase, and that's a bit of a vague term, but I think you'll understand the principle, the more significant the purchase, the more important it becomes that they can be seen to get the best deal, because it becomes important to them that people they know and meet and work with can see that they've got a good deal. So actually people don't like getting a bad deal from a psychological reason beyond, this, and this comes in later on. So people always want the best deal. The second fundamental is that generally it's more effective to market to the negative than to the positive. Now, what I mean by that is that you do get people who will go, who are sort of benefit or pleasure seekers or going for the good thing, and they're called gold medalists in some of the parlance. But generally, most people, they will buy because they've got an issue, a problem or a concern, and they haven't got a solution to it. And if you can offer them a solution, then they'll buy. Now, they won't buy to prevent the problem arising in the first place. Generally, this is a generalization, but this is most cases. So what tends to happen is they don't buy to actually stop the thing becoming a problem, but when it does become a problem, and when the problem becomes pressing enough to become, an irritation, a worry, an issue, then they will buy off someone who can give them a solution to get rid of that problem. So marketing to the negative generally is more effective than marketing to the positive, probably 70-30 split, I would say. Third thing is people buy on emotion. So what do we mean by that? Well, people won't buy the most efficient car. They'll buy the car that looks best, that looks, most, flashy in the drive, I suppose, or is most comfortable, or is the best, feels best when you're driving it. So they won't go on sort of value for money in terms of price, etc. They'll buy on emotion. Now, this is where the first thing comes back into the equation, because part of that emotion, and a very important part of this emotion, is people don't like to be seen to have made a bad decision. So therefore, when they're buying, they're sort of imagining that other people are going to tell them, what a good purchase they've made. So that is part of the emotion that underpins the reason why people buy. Now, that becomes really important, because the more important it becomes that people can be seen that you've made the right decision, the longer it takes to market to those people. So when you're selling B2B, if you're selling to a business, generally, if the person buying it has to be seen to have made the right decision in terms of people they work with, colleagues, etc., then it becomes a much longer process to sell to them, because they have to be convinced before they buy that they're going to look good in front of their compatriots. So people buy on emotion. People will buy from, now this little note here is designed to help me, so obviously I know you can't read it, but it's just designed to remind me that people will buy from a specialist or an expert. So, and they will buy what's unique. And that's why the whole idea of a target niche market comes in, because you can only be unique and you can only be a specialist and an expert to a particular target niche market. You can't be a specialist and an expert to everyone. And people will buy something that's unique. But when I say it's unique, what that means is it's unique in terms of its difference to your competitors, but it's also unique in the sense that it's focused on the negative, which we call the hot button issue that your ideal client has. And again, we're looking here at ideal customers, ideal clients. People will buy value. So they won't buy, they won't shop on price unless they're compelled to. So if there's nothing to distinguish one company's products from another, then obviously price becomes an issue. And if it's an everyday product, a commodity we call it, then again price becomes an issue. But even then, on everyday products like groceries, you know, people will shop at different supermarkets because they think the quality is better when it probably isn't, and they'll buy sort of you know, well-known names rather than the supermarket's own brand name, because they'll think the quality is different even though it isn't. So people will buy on value, and that when I say they'll buy on value, they'll buy the more value you can convince them that your proposition is, the more they'll pay. But when I say value also, what I mean, of course, is it's perceived extraordinary value. So people will buy something they perceive to be better value than the alternative. The thing is, you've now got to communicate. So the sixth fundamental is that they will only buy this extraordinary value if you can convince them that what you're offering provides this extraordinary value. So it becomes really important that you actually communicate that you are unique and that you're offering extraordinary value. Now that then becomes a big major issue or shortcoming that many businesses fall foul of, because what a lot of businesses do is, in all their marketing, promotional and sales material, they come out with generic bland statements. So they'll tell you the name of the business, they'll tell you what they do, and then they'll come out with statements like, we've been in business since 1935, we're a family business, we offer friendly service, we offer excellent service, we offer convenient, you know, very convenient I don't know, deliveries, but everything is very generalized. And the thing is, that doesn't really work, because if you think about it, if you're saying something that someone else can also say, then you're not unique and you're not offering extraordinary value. Now, it doesn't matter how good you are, if you're saying that you've got excellent friendly service and someone else says they've got excellent friendly service, then what's to choose between you? And then it becomes a price issue. So the problem you've got is you've got to communicate the fact that you're unique and that you're offering extraordinary value and that you're offering the best deal for your particular ideal customer. And you can only do that by following what we call the marketing equation, which I'll come on to later. So a big trap that a lot of businesses fall into is they think having a brand and coming out with generic bland statements is enough. It's what the big companies do, but it doesn't basically work for small companies, because they haven't got the endless bottomless pit budgets that the big companies have got. And then the seventh fundamental is that it doesn't matter what people need, they will buy what they want. So you've got to create a want, which all goes back to this emotional hot button issue again. It's what they want rather than what they need. So need is logical, want is emotional. So what people tend to do is they'll buy what they want based on emotion, but they need to be convinced that they can justify it in terms of logic and need. So the challenge is to sell to the emotion, but to give them enough information when you communicate the benefits of your product, to give them enough information that they can then justify logically to themselves and to others that they bought the right product or service. So it all goes back to this communication thing again. So how do we go about the communication aspect of it? Well, we need to follow what we call the marketing or the conversion equation. And basically there's 3/4 bits to this. The first bit is you need to have something good to say. Well, these 7 fundamentals here are the something good to say, because we've produced a proposition which we call our market dominating position, which basically offers the best deal in the marketplace to our ideal customers, based on the fact that it's solving this issue or hot button they've got, which tends to be a negative issue or concern that they haven't got a solution to. We're appealing to their emotions, so we're appealing to them to the fact that this hot button is an issue or a concern that they want rid of, and also that they want to be seen in front of people they know and like and respect and trust, etc. They want to be seen to have made a good purchase, the best purchase. And obviously the more significant the purchase, the more important that reason becomes. We've got to convince them that what we do, what we're offering them, is unique, that they can't get it anywhere else, that it offers extraordinary value, and we've then got to communicate it, which is this bit. So this is the good to say, and we're appealing to their emotions rather than logic, which is where you hear this expression about selling benefits rather than features. And the benefits have basically got to be benefits that are targeted particularly and specifically to this ideal customer, not generic benefits. So the something good to say is covered here. Saying it's the right person, well, the right person or the right people, that is your ideal target customer. So it's got to be a niche, an ideal customer, an ideal target where you can be seen as the expert and the specialist rather than the generalist. Because if you're seen as the generalist, you will always lose out to the specialist. So trying to sell to everybody probably means you end up selling to nobody or very few. So that's the right person. Say it well. Now, this is the really crucial bit, and you have to follow a 4-step formula. And the 4-step formula is interrupt. Now, what I mean by interrupt is that generally on a day-to-day basis, people are in what's called downtime. They're on autopilot. So, you know, if you're driving around, you don't remember getting from A to B. If you go out the house, you can't remember actually locking the door. You can't actually remember turning the cooker off, but you know you must have done. And then you hope you have because you can't remember and you're not sure, and then you start to worry about it. But you've done it on autopilot. So you've got to interrupt people out of what's called downtime, and you do that by what's called an interrupt headline, or if you're saying something, it's the first statement you come out with. And so the way that works is you would come out with the first statement or headline based on this negative issue or concern they've got that they haven't got a solution to. And as soon as you do that, you'll perk their interest. But to keep them in uptime, you then need to do the second bit, which is to engage. And that's normally done through either the second thing you say or a subheadline if it's any sort of flyer, leaflet, brochure, advert. And the engage bit says, I've interrupted you by highlighting the fact you've got this problem. I'm now going to promise you a solution. That's the engage bit. And then that keeps their interest because now that's relevant to me because I've got that issue and they're promising me a solution to it. You then educate them. Now the educate goes back to this communicate here and goes back to being unique and goes back to the best deal. When you're in your educate, you need to be specific. So you need to spell out things such as why they need to buy this thing now or apply for this information pack now if it's an informational offer, why they can trust you because other people have bought it and you know this is what they say so you can trust me because that's a big issue. That's the biggest issue is trust. Why it's different to the competitors, so spell out. So it's not just that we offer, you know, we've been going since 1837 and we offer excellent value. It's we are better because of this and this. You know, spell it out. So here, the saying it well, the educate has to be really specific and it has to spell out exactly what they need to do to get whatever it is you're offering, exactly what they'll get, and exactly what you're going to do, you know, if they fulfill the steps they fulfill to actually get this thing. So this has to be really specific. And obviously, the more space and room you've got, the more specific you can be. And then you need an offer. Now, the offer, that's another very interesting thing because the offer basically says that depending on the type of product or service, so if it's a major purchase, it tends to follow this model. If it's an everyday purchase or an emergency purchase, such as you've got a puncture or your boiler's burst, then, or you've got toothache, that's another one I heard the other day, or you know, you need to go to the doctor. That's obviously that's urgent, and that means that person will be a now buyer. But generally, in any given marketplace, if you took 100 potential prospects for your product or service, only 1 to 3% probably are now buyers. The rest of them, at the top there, you've got 30% who'll never buy, and then you've got 30% who might eventually buy, but they're not aware of it yet. 30% who are finding out about this product or service and why they might want it and why they might overcome their objections, so they're further along. And 7% who are probably likely to buy, you know, in the near or not too distant future. But there's a whole spectrum there, and it's called the buyer's journey. And your challenge really is to engage at the top and actually nurture your prospects along the buyer's journey. Because if you can do that, you'll eventually get, what's that, 70% buying from you rather than just the 3% at the bottom. Whereas if you just target the now buyers, you're only actually targeting the 3%. So it's called strategic marketing. And this is where it becomes very interesting because if the model of your customer follows this route, then your offer here isn't an offer to buy now because that will only appeal to these now buyers. The offer will be I'm going to give you some information. If you send me your let me have your details. I'll send you information which will help you negotiate this buyer's journey, and it'll help you decide whether you're actually going to buy or not. So that gets rid of the 30, and then it'll tell you what the benefits are. It'll tell you how to overcome the objections, like it's inconvenient, it's expensive, it disrupts what we've already got. And it'll actually eventually get to the stage where when they're choosing who to buy from, which is this 7% stage here, why you should buy from me. And this will help them make their buying decision, because people like to make a buying decision they don't like to be sold to. So your challenge through your marketing equation is to interrupt by saying you've got an issue or concern without a solution, to engage by saying I can offer you a solution, to educate by saying this is how this solution works, this is what other people have found, this is why you can trust me to buy from me. And then an offer which basically says, if you want information such as an ideas guide, a checklist, a template, etc., leave me your details. I'll send you this free. I'll give you further information along your buyer's journey, such that I'll help you make a decision as to whether to buy or not and who to buy from, such that when you do make that decision, you're more than likely to buy from me. And that's called strategic marketing, which then leads on to one other bit, which is the say it often. So the say it well is all of these things. The something good to say is all these things. The say it well is the interrupt, engage, educate, and offer. And then the say it often is what we call a drip campaign. And the drip campaign basically says that on the buyer's journey, you need several points of contact before someone will buy. And what they're looking for is education. And this 80% here stands for the fact that anywhere between, depending on what you read, anything between 5, 8, 12 points of contact are needed generally for someone to decide to buy. Depends on the product, and also that number's getting bigger all the time because of all the saturation marketing out there. So it's probably more like the 12 plus than it is the 5 plus. So, but the point being, people need several points of contact along the buyer's journey before they decide to buy. And if you're the person doing that, you're the person they'll buy from, because only 20% of sellers keep going beyond, I don't know why I put 4% there, that should be 4 times. Only 20% of sellers keep going more than 4 contacts, whereas 80% of buyers need at least 5, 8, 12 contacts to buy. So I see lots of likes and hearts and things going. If you think this is useful, could you sort of make some comments and do some hearts and likes and all that sort of stuff, because that would be useful. So shall we summarize just where we got to? So what we're saying is there are 7 fundamental, psychological fundamentals, if you like, of human behavior. First thing is, people are always looking for the best deal, and they also want to be seen to have got the best deal. The second thing is that generally people will buy out of pain and out of a negative emotion rather than looking for something positive. So normally they'll buy the cure, but they won't buy the preventative first. So you've got to offer the cure to the negative issue they've got. The third thing is they'll buy on emotion. Now that emotion will be things like they want, to feel good, they want to look good in front of their colleagues. Yeah, I mean a whole range of emotions, but basically they'll buy an emotion, they won't buy on logic. So you've got to tap into emotion, and the emotion will be the issue, the problem, the concern they've got that they want to get rid of. They will buy from someone who offers something that looks like it's unique, that you're the specialist, that you're the expert. So you need to come across as the specialist or the expert, and you can only do that if you have a clearly defined target niche market. They will buy extraordinary value, and that needs to probably say perceived extraordinary value. So your challenge is to give them extra value rather than cut your prices, give extra value, extra products, extra services, extra features, extra benefits. So the more value you can put into your proposition, the better, rather than reducing prices. But it's perceived value as well. So it all comes down then to down here as to how well you get, you explain it, you get your message across. So extraordinary value. The challenge then is to communicate the facts, and it's called communicating your internal reality to external perception. So the external world, they don't know you're any different to anyone else unless you tell them. If all you say is we've been going since 1927 and we offer excellent service and we're a family-friendly company, then that's the same as everyone else. So you've got to communicate to the external world your internal reality, and you do that by following this marketing equation. And then the 7th thing to remember is that it's not a question of what people need, it's a question of what they want. So you have to target your proposition to what they want, but they need to be able to justify it afterwards in terms of logic by saying that, you know, they bought this because they needed this, that, and the other. I mean, they didn't. They bought it because they liked it and they wanted it, but they need to be able to justify it afterwards. So once you're aware of those fundamentals, you then have to have something good to say, which is that you have something that's unique, that's offering excellent value, and that's much better than the competitors for your particular ideal target client. And you need to persuade your ideal target prospects that that's the case. You need to say it to the right people, which is your ideal target prospects. So it all comes back to this clearly defined niche target market. Then you need to say it well. The way to say it well is, you've got this issue or concern, interrupt. I can offer you a solution that you haven't currently got. Engage. This is how it works, and this is what other people found, and this is why you can trust me. Educate. And if you want to find out more to help you make your decision as to whether you want to buy this thing or not, then leave me your details and I'll send you information. That's the offer. And that is generally the case as to how people buy in 95% of cases. So that's the format to follow there. And then once you've got the information, you say it often, which basically says, here's some information to help you make your decision as to whether to buy or not. Here's some more information about the benefits of this thing should you decide to buy. Here's some more information to overcome your objections, concerns, and worries about why you should buy this thing. And here's some more information which might persuade you that I'm the person to buy from rather than my competitors. And there's a sort of sequence that you follow for this information, but you don't try and sell till you get to the now buyer stage. And the now buyer stage, just to remind you, 1 to 3% typically. If you found that useful, comments, likes, hearts, all those sort of stuff would be great. But also, if you want free resources, free information, there's you know, that's my website there, http:// and then it's exponentialgrowthforyou.com, and the 4 is a number 4 and the U is a letter U. I hope you found that useful, and thank you very much for tuning in, and all comments welcome. Thanks very much.